Sounds like it's back there instead of right in front of me. So, I think I'm in the clear.
With a big metal bar.
Tonight, we look at 6 disturbing camping encounters caught on camera. Real moments, real danger. Don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying footage like this. Let's begin. On July 16th, 2022, a TikTok creator known as Girl with the Accent, Sarah, set out on a peaceful camping trip with her mother. Her usual content leaned toward humor and relatable everyday moments, but this particular outing would turn into something far more unsettling. During a long walk with her dog, an unusual sensation crept in, an unshakable feeling that something wasn't right. At first, she tried to ignore it, but the unease lingered as she moved deeper into the woods. Not long after, a chilling scream echoed through the trees.
Okay, I don't know whether it's because I'm filming a TikTok, but I'm starting to get really fucking scared. Like, regardless, I have to go over there. It must be an animal. Oh my god.
It was faint at first, with a tone that might have been mistaken for an animal, yet there was something disturbingly unnatural about it. The thick vegetation behind her made retreat impossible, forcing her to move forward. Each cautious step was met with the same strange cries, their pitch and rhythm unlike anything she could easily identify. Could it be a coyote, a fox, or something else entirely? The uncertainty gnawed at her. As she tried to create distance from the noise, relief began to set in, until she realized the sound was no longer stationary.
It's moving around, so like it's now moving around. So like I've walked back because I thought it might be injured, but it's moving around. So it's not in one spot, it's moving and it's I think it stopped.
It was moving. Whatever was producing it was shifting position through the forest. The thought crossed her mind that it could be an injured dog, and with that came the temptation to investigate. Balancing fear against concern, she cautiously turned back. But when she did, the woods fell silent in a way that felt deliberate, as if something had noticed her presence. Moments later, the sound returned, only now it was much closer. The scream had changed, taking on a deep, distorted quality that no longer resembled an animal. That was enough for Sarah to decide she had to get out. She ran through the darkening forest, her only goal to reach camp. The trees felt endless, but eventually she broke through the edge and collapsed into the safety of her campsite. Some have speculated the sound could have been a distressed animal, possibly injured and moving through the underbrush. Others believe the strange tonal shifts and the way it seemed to follow her suggests something less ordinary, perhaps even a territorial predator, or something more mysterious. If it truly was an animal, why did it seem to track her movements so closely? And if it wasn't, then what exactly was moving through the woods that night? Hold on a sec. If you're enjoying this so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's continue. What began as a routine late-night investigation at a reputedly haunted estate quickly turned into something far more unsettling. Not because of ghosts, but because of the people they encountered there. Armed with cameras and gear, the team arrived after dark, prepared to explore the abandoned grounds and document any signs of paranormal activity. The location had a reputation for eerie noises, fleeting shadow figures, and an atmosphere that made visitors uneasy.
Let's get this thing done, man. I feel like a cop. Y'all always keep your ears on the smooth.
Oh man.
This is deja vu, bro. This exact moment is deja vu. That's so crazy.
We've been here
This
before.
is deja vu of a deja vu moment.
So you always knew you was gonna be a ghost hunter, huh?
You said that exact same thing. Crazy, bro. I might be a medium.
I'm gonna be over here. You see that shooting star?
Mm-hmm.
That shit looked hella close.
As they made their way along overgrown paths, the night started quietly. No strange sounds, no immediate signs of ghostly presence. But further in, they noticed something unusual. A small group of people standing in a perfect circle, completely silent.
Yeah. Hey.
Bro, what? I don't even.
Okay.
Walking through, we see a group standing around in a circle. Two of them laughing for no reason. We start walking, we see one pop up behind a bush, just standing there straight staring at us. Then the group, all in a circle, starts looking at us while we walk by them, and then they start following us as we walk by them. So we all got our shit out right now. Nah, this ain't one of them ones, bro. This ain't one of them ones. I'll take a nigga off a cliff with me. I'm surviving, bro. That's all I know.
Bro, I'll tell you what. Ghost one thing. People.
You see the dude in black just standing there looking at us?
Yeah, that man just popped up out of the bush.
Bro, make sure you keep it. You hear that shit?
Why are they following us?
They're following us, bro. They're following us.
I know they're following us.
They're following us. Come on, come on.
Yo, don't put the light this way. I can't see that way.
They're following us, bro.
A few of them exchanged glances. Then one figure stepped out from behind a bush, watching without speaking. The rest slowly turned their attention toward the investigators. The silence made the moment even more unnerving. The team continued walking, but the strangers began moving after them. The way the figures stood, motionless in the dark, almost suggested a ritual or ceremony. Then, a man dressed entirely in black emerged from the shadows, fixing his gaze on them. What happened next was enough to end the investigation. One of the strangers gave a brief but alarming command, making it clear the group wasn't welcome.
Is that them?
Yeah.
All right. We're coming up on them. Come on.
But I'm not sticking around.
I feel like they're surrounding us.
Get him. You just say get him? Nigga, run! Yeah, I'm not playing around.
The team felt an immediate shift. They were no longer passive observers, but potential targets. Choosing not to wait and find out what would happen next, they quickly withdrew from the area. When they reviewed their footage later, the scene was even more disturbing. The stillness, the synchronized stares, and the cryptic instruction all stood out. What had started as a ghost hunt had instead turned into a close encounter with something far more unpredictable. Other people in the dark, with unknown motives. While it's possible the strangers were simply part of a local gathering or private event, the way they silently watched and then followed the team suggests intentional intimidation. The lack of any clear explanation for the circle formation and the cryptic command only adds to the mystery. Were these individuals protecting something on the property? Or was the team about to interrupt something they were never meant to see? The YouTube channel Project Amber is known for documenting van life, travel, and the occasional unsettling encounter. On May 4th, 2018, the creator uploaded a video that was meant to be about a routine camper repair, but ended up capturing something far stranger. Parked in a remote mountain forest in France, they were attempting to fix a malfunctioning fridge. After researching possible solutions, they decided to try the old trick of turning the unit upside down to reset the cooling system. While discussing other minor van issues, everything felt like a normal day on the road, until their dog suddenly became fixated on something outside.
Right, so I'm pretty sure with a house fridge, if you move it, you're supposed to leave it like 12 or 24 hours to settle, for the gas to settle. Now I've just flipped it upside down and back again, so I'm going to give it the full 24 hours, I think, to... What are you looking at? You keep freaking me out, dog. There's no one over there. honest. You see something I'm not?
The animal stared intensely into the tree line, as though tracking movement the creator couldn't see. Assuming it was just a passing animal, they tried to brush it off.
There's actually a well, just where I'm parked. You go down this little track, and there's a well with a big metal bar on it. And originally I was going to go and park there, and I saw the well. Instantly started thinking about the ring, which when I was about, I think it was about 10 when it came out, scared the shit out of me. For like a month I didn't sleep properly.
Not far from where they were parked stood an old well, secured with a heavy metal bar. The overgrown track leading to it and its abandoned appearance gave it an eerie presence in the otherwise quiet forest. Later that evening, the atmosphere shifted. Usual nighttime forest sounds faded into silence. Then, distant moaning echoed across the mountains. Following the noise led them to the well. But there, the sound stopped. In that moment, they noticed a figure standing among the trees.
Okay, I'm just seriously freaked out now. A minute ago I could hear like really loud moaning, like just booming across the mountains. I've come down to where I could hear it. I got to this old well and it stopped. I mean, that thing's wild freaky. It's like something out of The Ring. But just as soon as I got here, just from over there, there's no track or anything, it's just wood. This girl appeared, dressed like kind of like a monk, no shoes, and no hair.
It appeared to be a girl, barefoot and with a shaved head, partially hidden by the shadows. She was watching silently. Within seconds, she was gone. The forest remained still, and no further movement was seen. But the encounter left the creator uneasy. The isolation of their location made the sighting even more unsettling. The next morning, they searched the area, but found no footprints or signs anyone had been there. What began as a simple van repair had turned into one of the strangest moments they had ever experienced on the road. Meet Eric, the creator behind the Nomadic Fanatic YouTube channel. Known for his laid-back RV adventures and love of traveling with his two cats, Tara and Opie, Eric often shares peaceful moments from life on the road. But in July 2022, one camping trip turned into something far more troubling than he expected.
And I rolled into my campsite and noticed that several of my things were moved, like my chair and my tripod, and people were setting up camp in my campsite. Bad at confrontation, just so you guys know, but my tripod, that was where they're putting their tent and blocking me in, and then they got a four-wheeler and a cooler. Apparently they just had to camp right on top of me in my actual campsite here. Then in front of my RV, you got these three boys setting up their tent right in front of my RV also. So when I rolled in, I was a little frustrated at what I saw because they even had a vehicle kind of blocking the entrance into where my RV was at. But I got out of the car, and I think my exact words are, "Wow, you guys just had to just camp right on top of me where I'm camping in my personal site?" And they said, "Oh, it's too full everywhere else." I said, "Well, it got really full here. You moved my camping chair and my tripod, and you just set up camp in my camp." "Oh, well, you know, we're gonna be here for the weekend. There's nowhere else to go." Common sense is definitely not common anymore, by the way.
Eric had planned for a quiet stop at a familiar campsite, but upon arriving, he immediately noticed things were off. Several of his belongings, including a chair and tripod, had been moved. To his frustration, a group of people had taken over his designated space and begun setting up camp right in front of his RV. They even parked their vehicle in a way that partially blocked his access. Despite the obvious encroachment, the other campers offered no apology or effort to move, instead claiming there were no other available spots. Though Eric typically avoids conflict, the situation pushed him to his limit. The noise, the lack of courtesy, and the blatant disregard for his space made it impossible to relax.
The really messed up part about it is I'm so bad at confrontations that I don't even know how to leave if I wanted to. Like, what would I do? How would I say it? Would I just not talk to him, hook up the car, and just pack up? It's okay, Opie.
quarterback. Brothers in peace. I stay like when they on attack.
Well, I'm glad that was a fun teaching moment for that family of a-holes. Hey kids, if we get here late and people are already set up, just set up on top of them and make as much noise as possible, be as rude as possible, because that's what camping's all about.
Still, rather than escalate the situation, he chose to quietly pack up and leave before nightfall, unsure how things might develop if he stayed. That decision may have saved him. The next day, shocking news emerged. One of the campers who had taken over his site had been reported missing. Hours later, their body was found at the base of a nearby cliff. Authorities confirmed the individual had suffered fatal injuries from a fall without wearing a helmet. While the camper's behavior had been inconsiderate, no one expected such a tragic ending. And while Eric had no part in what happened, it underscored how quickly things can spiral in the wilderness. It's unclear what led the individual to the cliffside, or whether the fall was an accident or something more complicated. Was it reckless behavior, intoxication, or simply bad judgment? We may never know. But what's certain is that Eric's instinct to leave early may have protected him from being caught up in something far worse. Have you ever encountered aggressive or disrespectful campers? Would you have stayed and confronted the situation, or packed up and left like Eric did? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, the wild isn't always as peaceful as it seems. Uyghur Haliloglu is a YouTube channel admired for its peaceful, detailed camping experiences, often capturing tranquil moments with nature, quiet meals by the fire, and serene getaways alongside his wife, Season. For over a decade, the couple has ventured deep into the wilderness, embracing the silence and beauty that most people pass by. But on one off-grid trip in 2024, their years of experience were put to the test. What began as another relaxing night under the stars quickly turned into something much more unsettling.
Duyuyor musun baykuşu?
Duyuyorum.
The couple had found a secluded clearing, far removed from any road or trail. With their off-road camper parked beneath open skies and the faint outline of trees surrounding them, the setting was perfect. The sun dipped below the horizon, and a quiet sense of peace settled in. As the fire crackled and they cooked dinner, the scent of grilled vegetables mixed with the earthy air. These were the kind of nights they cherished, slow, simple, and undisturbed.
Of. Acı biber.
Sana mı denk geldi? Uğur bir şey.
Koş 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 koş.
Uğur aç kapıyı.
Geç karına.
Geç. Duydun değil mi?
Duydum dur.
But as they chatted and prepared for the evening, a sudden sharp noise broke the calm, loud and close, like it came from just beyond the tree line. There was no warning, no rustling, no approach, just one sudden jarring sound that cut through the night.
Uğur bir şey.
Koş.
Startled, they froze for a moment. Then instinct took over. They rushed into their camper, abandoning everything outside. Once inside, silence returned. But it felt different now. Heavy. Watching. They whispered to each other, trying to make sense of what they'd heard. Could it have been a bear? A person? The forest offered no clues.
Uğur çok korkuyorum.
Kimsin?
Uğur uzaklaşma.
Ses ver.
Uğur lütfen içeri gel.
Tamam toplayayım şuraya da geleyim aşkım.
Yaklaşıyor gibi Uğur.
Yok aşkım be, kaçtı o. Neyse.
Minutes passed, then hours. Nothing followed. No movement, no more sounds. Whatever had been there was now gone, or hiding. Outside, the night continued as if nothing had happened. But the atmosphere had changed. The laughter from earlier was gone. The comfort of the forest had vanished, replaced by uncertainty. They remained locked inside until morning, their voices low and their eyes on the windows. Whatever had been out there never returned, but the memory stayed. With no visual confirmation and no follow-up noise, there's no way to know what interrupted their night. Was it a large animal, spooked by the fire? A person, perhaps lost, or something else entirely? The suddenness of the sound, and the complete silence that followed, left more questions than answers. Some viewers believe it could have been a human presence, perhaps even someone watching them from the woods. Others lean toward wildlife, but one thing's certain. Seasoned campers like Uğur and Season rarely react this strongly without cause. What do you think happened that night? Have you ever heard a noise so sudden and unexplained that it made you question whether you were truly alone? Let us know in the comments. And stay tuned, because in the next story, a sound from deep in the wilderness will defy all logic. Western Nowhere is not your typical YouTube channel. It doesn't chase jump scares or viral moments. Instead, it captures the raw, often isolating reality of true wilderness exploration. Led by Oliver, the channel takes viewers deep into the forgotten corners of the American Southwest, places where nature, history, and solitude intersect in hauntingly beautiful ways. In this video, Oliver sets out on a solo trek above 10,000 feet in search of the remains of an ancient hunting camp. But as the forest thickens, the silence becomes less comforting. Something else begins to fill the space between the trees. The hike began like many others, quiet, methodical, and surrounded by towering trees and rocky terrain. But the deeper Oliver went, the more the woods seemed to resist. The first sign came as a subtle knock, faint and distant, then another. The sound seemed to move with him, never settling in one place for long.
I mean, if that thing fell on your head, it would more than ruin your day. My hope is that I get out of this forest without having anything like that happen. I don't know if you could hear that, but this forest seems to be crumbling all around me. More than half of the trees are dead, and I keep thinking I'm hearing knocking or like an axe, someone splitting wood. And it's knocking behind me and knocking ahead of me. So it's almost like, where do you go where it's safe?
They mimicked the rhythm of someone chopping wood, echoing in both directions, ahead and behind. The path itself was treacherous, covered in fallen logs and unstable debris. But the real weight came from something else, something unseen. The knocking continued, accompanied at times by a strange, almost melodic wailing that drifted through the trees. The wind stirred the branches, and the forest offered its usual creaks and groans. But there was a pattern to these sounds. They wrapped around him, never closing in, but never quite going away either.
What is that singing sound? It's like coming in front of me and behind me. Is that the wind blowing through the trees? Oh, it's like 4 or 5 people wailing. Tell me you hear that. I hope my mic is picking that up.
Though he tried to rationalize, blaming wind, maybe elk, the unease lingered. The noises weren't random. They came in familiar patterns, like something intelligent was making them.
I don't know if I'm gonna include this in the video. My throat's really dry. Because I'm not one to kind of believe in the supernatural, but I'm trying to get the goosebumps to go away. I'm not terrified, I'm just creeped out.
At one point, Oliver noted that the gusts of wind weren't triggering the same noises anymore. He wondered aloud if this was what made people believe in things like Bigfoot, not because of what they saw, but because of what they couldn't explain.
See, right there is a strong wind gust, and that's when it should coincide, but I didn't hear it. And I've sat through a few wind gusts, and I don't hear it anymore. At all wind speeds, at all wind speeds, at all wind speeds. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but I could see why people believe in Bigfoot. There's some weird sounds out here. I don't believe it's Bigfoot. I'm just trying to get to the mystery of it as to why they all make the same sound.
Despite the unease, the mission continued. He pressed on toward the ridgeline and finally found what he'd come for: ancient stone structures, crude walls, and markers built by those who once made their home in this harsh landscape. The ruins spoke of a time when people chose isolation over community, survival over comfort. Near one of the stone outcrops, he spotted signs of more recent activity: animal skulls and a makeshift snare. The forest was still alive, still inhabited in its own quiet, threatening way. But just as the journey seemed to reach its emotional peak, it was cut short. His dog Max had brushed against poison oak, and they were forced to turn back. Still, Oliver had achieved what he set out to do. He had found the camp. But the questions it stirred, those would linger long after the trail ended. The knocking, the wailing, the unnatural movement of sound through the trees. Was it simply wind filtered through the skeletons of dying trees? Was it an animal, just out of sight? Or could it have been something older, something tied to the ruins he uncovered? Many explorers believe the land holds memory, and that some places resist visitors in ways we can't explain. So what do you think? Was it wildlife, weather, or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments below. Because in these remote places, sometimes what you hear is more important than what you see. And with that, we turn to a very different story, one told by Roaming Reckless, where the forest doesn't whisper, it warns. That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.